Hi, I'm Rob from roblandphoto.com, and in today's video we're going to be reviewing this little baby here. This is the Audio-Technica ATR-3350 lavalier mic, or commonly referred to as lav mics or lapel mics. The ATR-3350 is incredibly popular with YouTubers and anybody who's into recording video, actually, because it's extremely cheap, really cheap, and it's a great companion to this little baby, the Zoom H1 recorder. He says, getting out of his pocket. We can reach around. There it is. That's the Zoom H1. The two kind of almost really go together. You wouldn't have one without the other. Don't worry, I'm not going to start singing. Now, back to the ATR-3350 though, it's a really handy little mic. It runs off a single CR2 battery. It's got this ridiculously long cable, 6 meters long. It has a 3.5mm plug-in, so you might be tempted to plug it into your DSLR or straight into your computer. And the mic is specified as being omnidirectional, which means it picks up sound from whichever direction. And in fact, if we look at the prices on Amazon.com, you can see we can pick up one of. In fact, there's a closer look at the mic and the battery. We can see we can pick one up for at the moment, and this is the 28th of May 2014, for $18. Wow, that's pretty damn cheap, isn't it? When you order two. And on Amazon.co.uk in the UK, you can pick one up for £22.95 with free delivery. You know, gosh, that is pretty amazing, isn't it? So, you know, why would you go for a lav or lapel mic? Well, the kind of rule with audio is that the closer the mic gets to the sound source, the better. So even a really cheap mic, if it's very close to the sound, i.e. your voice, that will be much better than a more expensive mic that's further away. And almost anything is better than the built-in mics on your DSLR or your camcorder, or even your laptop or your webcam, anything like that. Also, a lav or lapel mic, it gives you a consistency of sound, because this distance from your mouth to the mic is always the same no matter what's going on. So if you're doing a piece to camera, I know I'm sitting in a chair here, but if I was in, you know, moving around a room and the distance was changing, obviously the levels would go up and down depending on how far away I was from the camera. But with the lapel mic, it always stays the same, so you're always going to get a nice consistent audio. Also, if you're into making YouTube videos or product videos, you might be doing a piece to camera like this, and then you might well move the camera so it's pointing down at something on the table. But then you'd be right on top of the camera, so if you're using the internal mic or a shotgun mic, the levels would be really high. Where with the lav mic, it always stays the same, no matter where you are in relation to the camera. However, the thing I would say is if you are considering buying one of these mics, they're not all created equal. And although the ATR-3350 is fine for YouTube and creates definitely good enough audio for video, I wouldn't use it for podcasting. You know, I'll say that straight away. It's just, there's just too much hiss. It doesn't have a loud enough output to get its levels above the sound floor, so you can get a really nice sound. I think I'd rather use a USB mic or use the internal mics on my Zoom H1. However, this review is all about showing you what the AT-3350 is capable of. So what I'm going to do is go through several ways of using the mics, and you'll be able to listen to see what works for you, because you might think something sounds different. You know, you might like it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put links on the screen around here that will describe what they are, and so that if you click on that link, that will then take you to that particular section, so you can go backwards and forwards, kind of listening to the different outputs that we're getting from the mic. And so, you know, if you want to listen to them in different orders, you'll be able to do that. Just click on the link and then it will take you to that bit of the video. So the first setup, it will carry on with the setup I've got now, which is the ATR-3350 going straight into my Zoom H1 handy recorder. It's all separate from the camera. I sync it all up afterwards. And this is the setup I now use for all my YouTube videos. On the handy recorder, on the H1, I set it up for recording at 44 kilohertz, 16 bits. which is in WAV, which is CD quality sound. I turn the low cut filter on to get rid of any low room hum, and auto levels off, and I set a record in WAV. And the input level's normally about 92 or 93, quite high really for what it is. With all of these things, I always take the audio and take it into the Levelator afterwards, the Levelator 2, which is a great program. Just Google Levelator 2 and you'll find it. And what that does is that mucks around with the levels and the compression to kind of expand the sound in the file. And then I take the file into Audacity to edit it and get rid of noise using Audacity's noise removal features. Then afterwards, the audio gets taken with the video into something like Windows Movie Maker or Adobe's Premiere Pro, where you can sync the two together to kind of get your final file. And I think with this setup, I definitely get audio that's more than good enough. Well, it's good enough for YouTube videos, and it's really simple. It's easy to do, and it means that with this kind of setup, I could go on location, I could be outside, I could be recording, I could set this up on a person. It's almost like creating a wireless mic. And you know, I've already done a video like this on YouTube, kind of explaining the fact that if you want better video, better audio to go with your YouTube videos, this is the kind of setup you're going to have to go. You've got to kind of accept it, that you need to get the mic closer to you. Okay, so that was the ATR-3350 going into the Zoom H1. Next up, we're going to try it. We're going to plug it straight into the computer. Okay, so next I plug the mic straight into my laptop, and I'm recording straight to Audacity. And again, at the end though, when I'm finished, I will be boosting the levels and doing some compression using the Levelator 2, and I will be getting rid of the noise using Audacity's noise filter. In fact, don't get fooled into thinking that any mic is really an out-of-the-box solution for your audio with your DSLR or any other type of video recording. You almost always have got to do some post-production on your audio. And that's often why an external recorder just makes so much more sense, because when you've got to do something like this, you know, when you've got to work on the video, you've got to work on the audio anyway, you might as well record it separately, because then you can work on it nice and easy and then just sync it up afterwards, and that tends to work really, really well. Now, obviously the laptop is, you know, it is a solution, it is a way of doing things. But the problem is, obviously, it would mean we'd have to lug our laptop around everywhere. And as I wanted to move around and do different things, I'd always have to have the laptop with me. However, obviously, if you're only ever going to do videos, say, I don't know, like this, where you're in a fixed position, and you weren't even going to, I don't know, go out to the garden, go to the garage, or move stuff around, then, you know, using the ATR-3350 might well work, but it is a bit of a pain. For example, when I need to get up and say reset the camera or start the camera again, I've got to unplug the mic, which then means that often the recording software will go, whoa, where's the mic gone? And you have to close the software down and then fire up again. So it isn't an ideal solution, but you know, have a listen. Does it work? Does it sound good to you? This is a nice convenient way of doing it, but again, you know, I know I'm pushing it, but recording audio separately is very, very good indeed. So this was recording the lav mic straight into my computer, straight into my laptop, to then into Audacity, and then I'll clean it up again in a minute. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug the lav mic straight into the 600D T3R dSLR and see what that sounds like. Okay, so the ATR-3350 lav mic from Audio-Technica is now plugged directly into my Canon 600D T3i DSLR. What I had to do though is I've turned the audio levels in the menu settings to manual, and then I kind of just knocked them up and down a bit. Well, I took the audio level down enough so that I think I'm still getting a decent audio in, but it wasn't going too high, because often if you leave it on automatic, you'll end up getting too much hiss. So again, I'm not sure how this will sound. This could seem to be a really convenient solution, doesn't it? Because we're recording the audio with the video, but you know, there's a few problems. One of which is the fact that I've got this massive wire that's going across the room that I'll probably drag out and snap or do something like that with. I'm kind of tied to this. So if I was moving around, I've got this the problem with this wire. Because I'm recording the audio in and embedding it with the video, it makes it very difficult to post-process. In fact, there will be no post-processing on the audio that's recorded with this now, because it's just too much hassle to strip the audio out and put it in. You know, you might as well just record it separately using something like the Zoom H1, or even into something like your laptop. But you know, it may well make sense if you're in this situation where the camera's in a pretty much fixed situation, you're in a fixed situation, you're not going to be moving around too much, and so the fact that there is a wire going across and you can't do much post-processing doesn't really matter. But just imagine, say you're outside or you're in a noisier environment where you do need to do post-processing, where you do need to do a bit of editing of that audio, a little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of compression. You know, we just can't do it. Okay, so this is the sound of the ATR-3350 going straight into my Canon 600D T3i dSLR. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to plug the mic into the Zoom and then the Zoom into the Canon and see if that makes things any better. Right, let's see how that sounds. Okay, so now the ATR-3350 lav mic is plugged straight into my Zoom H1, which is plugged straight into my Canon EOS 600D. So the idea with this is that the Zoom H1 is acting as a preamp. So it's taking the output from the 3350 lav mic, boosting it up, and then pushing it into the Canon, so that we don't have to rely on the Canon's preamps, because DSLRs are well known for having lousy stuff in them. And so by doing this way, it makes sure that we should be able to hopefully get really nice quality audio. We've still got this long lead hanging around, which can be a bit dangerous, but hopefully what this will do is give us a very quick way to embed, hopefully not too bad, hopefully quite high quality audio into our video. Again, we can't take it out to post-process it, but the idea of this is that it does it nice and quick. So I don't know, what do you think? Does it sound better? Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to my favourite setup, which is the ATR-3350 into the Zoom one, but done separately. Let's see what that sounds like. So we're now back with my favourite setup, which is the ATR-3350. I say my favourite setup, I haven't really got that many microphones to play with. Going into the Zoom H1 handy recorder, which is here in my hand now. And I know with this setup I can get good enough audio quality for YouTube videos. Now this would be much better than the internal mics on the camera, and I really think if you're buying or thinking about buying something like a lav mic like the ATR-3350, it isn't really a standalone device. I think you've really got to use it with something like the Zoom H1. Now, I know you can plug it into the camera, I know you can plug it into your laptop, and you may well listen to some of these clips and go backwards and forwards using these links, and you might go, well, yeah, I mean, it's great, but the convenience of recording audio separately so that you can post-process it, clean it up, do the levels, as I've done on this little section here, so that you can move around in relation to the camera and the sound will be the same, offers you so many advantages. Now, obviously, if you're on a budget, then I'd understand you maybe start with ATR-3350, but I guarantee you'll end up buying something like the Zoom H1. I spent an awful lot of time investigating and doing lots of research on how to get better audio from my YouTube videos. On a budget, you know, I only had about £100, and this definitely is the best solution. It's better than having a shotgun mic, because as I've explained, you know, if you move around the shotgun mic, the levels will go up and down, and you get lots of noise from shotgun mics anyway. Not that I wouldn't have one as a secondary mic, but I think a lav mic definitely is the way to go. But again, just remember that in order to get good audio, you're really going to have to do post-processing as well. You're going to have to use Levelator 2, you're going to have to use Audacity. It is all free and it does add time to your workflow, but I think it's definitely worth it. So, all that really remains to say is use the links to go backwards and forwards and listen to the different setups I've done with the ATR-3350. If you see one that you really like, that you think works in your particular situation, then by all means go for it. But my personal recommendation is the ATR-3350 is a mic that works well enough to produce video for YouTube. It's not a broadcast mic, it's not a mic for recording stuff for podcast, and use it with a Zoom H1. That's enough from me. You know, if you like the video, please subscribe. You can contact me, scalespeed@gmail.com. You can check out robnonphoto.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.